Welcome back to This Week in High School Sports. We're hanging out in Mountlake Terrace today at our show sponsor, Red Onion Burgers, and with us the owner, Sean Richards. Sean, people think of Red Onion Burgers and they think obviously burgers, it's in the name, shakes, fries, other things, but you're so much more than that.
We are. We offer barbecue ribs, our world famous red Cobb salad.
Ooh.
With turkey and ham.
Healthy options, I like it.
Healthy options, and we also offer paninis, fresh fruit, and smoothies, and so much more. So come on by.
21005 44th Avenue, Mountlake Terrace.
Welcome to This Week in High School Sports, and it's almost 2018. Happy New Year, Steve.
Happy New Year to you.
I can't believe we're already into that time of year again, but we are. January is, well, when this airs, will be January 1st, and let's talk about what's happening on the sports scene.
A little bit of everything. We're going to add a sport that we haven't talked about yet this year. Cheer. Cheer is definitely a sport. They do compete, and they compete for state championships. As a matter of fact, the state championship is coming up at the end of January, so we thought we'd bring one of our local cheer teams in to talk about what it takes to get there. As this particular team, Mountlake Terrace High School, still looking for their qualifying score to get to the cheer championships, which will take place in Battleground. So we brought Ashley and Carly from Mountlake Terrace into the studio to have a conversation about the sport of cheerleading. The Mountlake Terrace Hawks cheer squad finished third in state last year in their category, and this year they're trying to get back there. And with us right now, two of the members from the cheer team, Ashley Klippert and Carly Rash, both seniors. Ladies, I'm going to start by asking just the question in terms of whether or not cheer is a sport, because it gets asked every once in a while, and I know a lot of folks who don't participate in cheer or don't quite get it think differently, but Ashley, you can say otherwise, right?
I can for sure say otherwise. It is definitely a sport. We work just as hard and sometimes harder, like especially during competition season. It's just a continuous repetition of stunting and putting up the stunts and like saying your cheers, and you're always winded constantly, and you get like a 2-minute break between each one. It is definitely a sport, and all the injuries also. You can speak on that.
Carly, do we have an injury or two to talk about?
I get injured a lot. I don't know why it happens, but they're always minor injuries.
Well, and they do say that a lot of times in terms of doctors' offices, they see as many injuries that are cheer-related as any other sport. What are some of the injuries that maybe teams suffer during the season, Carly?
I have a bad, shoulder dislocating thing.
Concussions.
Yeah, falling on the head or
there's a lot of wrist injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's competitive too, right? I mean, we're going to talk in a minute about the state tournament and the state competition, but you're graded as to how well you do and how well you perform. It's not like the old days where we think of cheer as pom-poms and just jumping up and down, Carly. It's very structured, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And as far as the how long both of you have been cheering, neither one of you have been doing this for a real long time, right? Ashley, how long have you been on the cheer team?
I've only been on it for 2 years. Before that, I was on a recreational team, and we didn't compete then, so.
And Carly, for you?
This is my first year.
And you're doing this as a senior, so what is the appeal to cheer? Why cheer as opposed to doing other things? I know, Ashley, you played basketball your first couple years at Mountlake Terrace High School. You started as a freshman. Why did you decide to move over to cheer?
Well, I had some bad experiences on basketball, so I took a break my sophomore year, and then I decided, why not? Just, you get involved in ASB and all that stuff. It's it's a good opportunity to get involved with the school and all that.
And Ashley, or Carly, for you, what's been one of the biggest lures for you to get involved with it?
I had a lot of friends that did it, and it just I don't know, I feel like you always hear about cheer, and it always just sounds like something that's gonna be fun, and you don't really hear about all of the, I never even knew about, the whole competition aspect of it. You kind of hear about all the, stereotypical parts, but then once you get involved in it, you, learn more about it, and, it does become, more a part of you.
And as far as getting ready for cheer and getting these routines ready and being able to perform together in unison, how often do you have to practice? Ashley, are you practicing a couple days a week, or how often is the team getting together?
It's usually every day after school, but if there's a game or something like a swim meet we have to go cheer at or help at, then we'll just cancel practice that day because girls won't be there and we need everybody there. So it's every day, 2 hours a day.
And as far as the practice ritual or the schedule, what does the agenda look like, Carly? Is it practice and routines? Is it exercises? Is it what does a practice entail for cheer?
Well, it kind of depends on whether we get the gym, because if we get the gym, especially now that it's comp, which doesn't really happen that much, but since it's comp season, we like focus a lot on like stunting and like trying to perfect everything, and then like full run-throughs of the entire routine. But then if we're out in the hallway, it's more like the like little critique-y type things, and then we condition.
And as far as team members, Ashley, how many are there right now?
There are 12 right now.
And we talked a minute ago about injuries. When you're putting together a routine, everybody has their place they need to be in their particular role. What happens if there's an injury? Are there contingency plans for if we only have 11 or 10 versus 12, or if somebody's sick that day? It is flu season, so how does that work?
Well, we try to make sure everybody's there every day, but yeah, if we are missing one person, then a whole stunt group doesn't get to practice, so they're behind, and then everybody else is behind the next few days. So it really affects us drastically. And then if somebody gets injured right before a competition, then we'll have to just have 3 people on the mat, and they'll mark it with just their hands instead of throwing people in the actual air. So that'll get points deducted, but it's all good.
It's important to have all 12 there.
Yeah,
if you can.
very important, very important.
just like
We have
any other
no
sport.
extra people.
Very nice. And Carly, for you, talk about the coaches a little bit. Coach, I guess. Jessica's been there for a while now. She's a graduate of the school. Tell me how important she is to the cheer squad.
I feel like she's like the backbone of the whole team, because she really like, she's what like kind of, I think especially me and Ashley can get a little distracted maybe. We can get a little off topic. But she's really able, she like is able to like bring us back, and even like the crazy ones, and like especially when we get injured and stuff like that, she really like cares about us, and you can feel that like, and so you want to like, a big part of like why we want to like do so good is for her. Like we want to like make her proud and stuff.
And as far as the routines themselves, does she put them together and choreograph them, or is that something that's done amongst the team as well? Does everybody have input? How does that work?
We kind of like take from like dances that like NCA has done or something. You take different like moves from that, or dances we've done, or we do like make up different parts on our own. And she does let us like, if there's a part we don't like, we can be like, we don't like that, and she'll let us change it, and just wants like, she'll want to like see it though and make sure that she likes it too, but she does give us like an input.
Very nice. And as far as cheer requirements, I know for other sports you have to have a particular GPA. Sometimes even within the teams themselves, the coaches have rules. Ashley, what are the requirements for a cheerleader? Do they have to maintain a certain grade point average?
Yeah, we get grade checks about every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It just depends on when Jessica wants to do it. And we have to have above a D. We can't have anything below a D. And then to make the team, you have to have, I believe, a 2.7 GPA, but it might be higher than that. And you can't have any missing classes that day to go to practice. And if you're not in a class, then it really affects the team, like I said before. So, yeah.
So keep the grades up and be a good teammate,
Yep.
basically.
Yeah.
Speaking of good teammates, what makes an ideal cheer teammate? We talk about it in other sports. Carly, I've got to think it's just as important in cheer, right? So what does make a good teammate?
I feel like it's like almost like extra important in cheer, because especially with like stunt groups, like there's like 4 people, and like you are like really depending on each other, and so communication is like one of the most important parts of a good cheer team, because you need to be able to like discuss what's going wrong or what's going right, so that you can like build on that and not get frustrated or anything like that. And along with that, like attitude and like mindset, because you need to like go into practice and like just be ready for things to maybe go wrong or for things to go right, and either way to be okay and to like move on.
And speaking of things going right, one thing that would be ideal would be to get back to state this year.
Yes.
And that requires a qualifying score in cheer. Ashley, the team doesn't have the qualifying score yet, and state's coming up at the end of the month, and I think it's January 26th down in Battleground. 27th. What exactly does this team need to do? How many more opportunities do you have to get a qualifying score?
We have 2 opportunities on the 13th of January. It's at Skyline High School, and then we have another one on the 20th, I believe, the 20th, at Kentwood High School.
Okay, so 2 more chances. What does the team need to do better or differently that they haven't done yet to get to state at this point? What do you need to do to increase your opportunities and your chances? Is it one particular thing? Is it just a matter of getting into more of
It's
a...
a little bit of everything from every part of the routine. Our group stunts, they were a little rough and shaky our first competition, but it was just to blow the nerves away, so it was okay. Our actual cheer part of the routine was not too bad. We need a little more movement. The pyramid, that one is the one we need to practice the most, I think. We hit it a lot during practice, but then when it comes to the actual routine, sometimes it just does not go well.
So it is something that can be fixed, it sounds like.
Yeah,
You feel like
no,
you
yeah.
can get to that qualifying score if need be.
Yeah, just a little more practice every day.
Yeah.
And as far as being at state last year, it was in the Xfinity Arena up in Everett. What was that experience like, being able to participate in state and see just what that looks like on a huge scale like that on a
Well,
huge stage?
there were a lot of teams. It was a little intimidating at first. We went out there and we thought we did so good. We just missed one little part of our pyramid, and it caused us to get 3rd place. If we would have just hit it all, we would have definitely gotten 1st place. And then also, it's just like a different environment compared to other competitions. It's a lot more fun. And at the end, there's like a ceremony thing where we dance around. It's very fun.
So you had a good time with it.
Interesting. Yeah.
And Carly, for you being a first-year cheerleader, what would it mean for you to get to state?
I got to go and like watch them last year, and you can just like see that it's such like a big thing for everyone. You can see that they're all so focused, and I think that's really like, especially now going through the season when you have something to like strive towards and you're working towards it, to be able to like get there and like do everything that we can and like leave it all there. I think it would be really cool.
So they got a couple more opportunities to do that, and hopefully that will happen. As far as further on down the road, you're both seniors. Cheer something you want to continue with into college or beyond, or have you thought about that at all, Ashley? What are your future plans, or is it mainly school at this point?
I don't think I'm going to continue cheering in college, but I think I'm going to go to Montana State next year and get into their nursing program
Good for you.
because it's cheaper there, and there's a scholarship I already have there. And yeah, I like the cold.
You like the cold and you like to help people, so okay, very good. And Carly, what about you? Do you know what your plans are yet, or are you still looking?
I haven't decided on a school. I've like applied, gotten into some, but I haven't really decided. I'm still waiting for you, Deb, to get back in March.
Huskies, get back to her.
I don't think I'm going to continue cheer. Just need to focus on the whole school part of it.
So they'll do cheer for a little while longer, hopefully all the way to the end of the month of January, and we'll see if we can get them back to state and perhaps placing again this year. That would be nice.
Yes.
So Ashley, Carly, thank you very much. Best of luck on the 13th or the 20th. Hopefully we get that qualifying score, and
Oh, yes.
hopefully we'll be talking about Mountlake Terrace down at Battleground on January 27th
Yes.
at the state finals.
Yes, indeed.
We've talked about this before, but cheerleaders really get very little respect in terms of the injuries and the other things that they incur.
Absolutely. I think there is a stereotype that it's pom-poms and rah-rah and
Yeah.
getting the crowd going. But in this day and age, it is so much more than that in terms of it being competitive, putting together routines, the stunting, and like the girls mentioned, concussions and sprains and dislocations. And yeah, it's one of the most injured sports around. I mean, when you go and talk to doctors and people in emergency rooms, they see as many injuries per capita for cheerleading as they do anything else.
Yeah, so good for them.
Yeah, we'll see if they can make it now.
Yeah, so holiday tournaments are happening.
A lot of basketball being played over the break. It's the off season, if you will, so not a lot of league games, but all these holiday tournaments take place around here where you play non-conference opponents, and especially right after the Christmas season, Mountlake Terrace hosting a big girls tournament on the 26th and 27th, so really no time to rest. Just to give you some of the results and how some of the teams did over the break. Starting with the boys, Mountlake Terrace, they keep rolling. They're 9-1 on their season right now. They picked up victories over West Valley and Yakima, which is a very good team. And then they beat Ferndale and they beat Auburn Mountain View at their own tournament, the Mountlake Terrace Holiday Tournament. Edmonds-Woodway, they defeated Nathan Hale over the week, which was a nice victory. Linwood didn't get victories, but they did get a nice trip out of their tournament. They went over to Wenatchee for the second consecutive year, played a couple close games against Moses Lake and Eisenhower, But having had a chance to talk to Bobby Hinnenkamp, the coach, sounds like everybody had a really good time, and always a fun event for them to get over there and play in the snow, for that matter, too. It was it's never warm in Wenatchee in December. And then Meadowdale, the boys getting a 80-43 victory over Bremerton a couple days ago. So a nice job for the Mavericks. And the girls were also playing over the break. We mentioned that already at the Mountlake Terrace tournament. Then Meadowdale girls picking up a nice victory over Nathan Hale. They've already got 3 wins this year, which is an improvement for them. Linwood girls were also at that tournament and picked up a nice victory. And then Edmonds-Woodway. Those girls are now 9-1. They defeated Marysville-Getchell on December 26th. They then had to play Union the very next night on December 27th, also at Mountlake Terrace High School. One of the top teams in the state at the 4A level. Union was up by 5 at halftime. Edmonds-Woodway came out in the second half, started shooting lights out. They ended up getting a 10-point victory to improve to 9-1 on the season, so we thought it would be a good week to talk to a couple of their key players. By the way, not a single senior on the entire Warriors basketball team, and they're off to a great start. So we brought Adrienne and Maddie in to talk about not only the holiday tournament, but their season as a whole. Here's the interview we did with them. The Edmonds-Woodway girls basketball team is off to a 9-1 start to get their season rolling very nicely. And with us right now, 2 of the key players on that team, Maddie McMahon and Adrienne Poling. And ladies, first of all, congratulations on a great start to the season. A holiday tournament time, so you have to play December 26th and 27th. Always kind of an interesting thing. And Maddie, I'm going to start with you because you didn't get to start in the game on the 26th because you missed some practices, but I think for a pretty good reason. Did you take a little trip over the holiday break?
Yeah, my family took a trip to Hawaii, and I think I missed 2 practices, and then I got to the holiday tournament and I didn't start, but it's okay.
So now, when these holiday games are scheduled, does the family schedule the trip accordingly, or was that just kind of the way it worked out?
So I hate missing practices and I hate missing games, especially now that I'm starting. So my family always schedules things, so I don't miss anything, and then they schedule around it so that way I don't miss any games.
So you kind of cringe then when you see the schedule come out earlier this year and there's a game on December
definitely.
26th. It makes it a little bit tough.
Yeah.
How about you, Adrienne? When you get ready for these holiday games, is it hard to turn around from a holiday break and then have to play games right away, or do you kind of enjoy getting right back into it?
I mean, we're still practicing and everything, and so it's not too hard to get back into it.
And it wasn't too hard at all this week. They got 2 victories, one of which was against Union, one of the top 4A teams in the state. You fall behind by 5 at halftime. Adrienne, what's being said at half? I mean, you come back and you win the game. Were there adjustments that needed to be made, or was it just a matter of playing Edmonds-Woodway basketball?
I think it's just we needed to come back and play our game. We didn't play our best half, and our shots weren't falling, so we just need to come out, and we hit a lot of threes that game, so I think it was a key part of that.
And, hey, I'll segue that right there, too. You hit 3 of those threes in the second half, which was pretty key in coming back, and we're going to give you the Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week shirt for doing that, so a nice game there. I think you had 19 in the game total, so we'll hook you up with that shirt there. And then also, Maddie, for you, 12 rebounds in the game, is that right?
Yeah.
And this is a Union team that's bigger than any team you've played this year. We always talk about Edmonds-Woodway being more of a guard-oriented team without really any true post players, so you're kind of forced to play out of position at times.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that experience and what that's like for you.
I mean, I'd rather not be in the post. I'd rather we have like a 6'2" girl or something in there, but we don't have that on our team. And if John's asking me to do it, I'm obviously gonna do it and do the best I can. And those 12 rebounds, I didn't know I had 12 rebounds until the end of the game. And I think a part of it wasn't just like all of myself getting those rebounds. It was definitely my team helping me and like boxing out and just whoever could get the ball first.
And you had 35 rebounds as a team, Adrienne. I mean, when you are playing a guard-oriented offense and you don't have a lot of the taller players, is that something that's emphasized at practice? Does Coach Rasmussen talk to the team about how crucial that is for the players, even if they're not necessarily used to crashing the boards to get in there and get some balls?
I think this year especially, we're a pretty small team. Like, I'm the tallest on the team, I think. I think Maddie's pretty close. Yeah. And so, I don't know, we just emphasize that all year. And so playing a team that's that big, it's nothing very new to us.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was funny too when we were talking before we rolled the camera here. The RPI rankings, the indexes that determine how teams are seeded at the end of the year, it's become such a big thing in high school basketball. And some people are a little more coy about it. They act like they don't pay attention. You were very upfront and honest. Do you look at the RPIs pretty much daily after games?
Yeah,
And
definitely. After every team plays, like, we want to see if we moved because it does count at the end of the year. So.
And Maddie, does that go the same for you? Are you constantly looking at that? Or?
I think we all look and then we all share what we've seen, so everyone's pretty caught up on where we are.
And the last time we checked, I think we're 14th right now. Is that where we determined it? In the state out of 65, and maybe a little bit low. The RPIs need to fix that. But a lot of that has to do with strength of schedule. And you've got 4 big games coming up. Your next 4 games are Stanwood, at Linwood, at Arlington, and Snohomish. Maybe the 4 toughest games left on your schedule, or certainly 4 of the toughest 5 games left on your schedule. Maddie, is this a part of the schedule that you kind of had circled for a while, knowing it was coming? And is this something you?
Well, I knew, I was like, all these games in a row, that's going to be tough, but I know that our team can succeed if we try hard enough.
And as competitors, Adrienne, do you look forward to games like that? Are you?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, knowing that these teams are like the best in our league, like, we want to come out and prove ourselves also.
Now the schedule this year is pretty much just it's a carbon copy of last year. Only they reversed. If you had a home game against a team, you now have to go there, and vice versa. But you played these same 4 teams in order last year, also at the very beginning of January. You lost 3 out of those 4 games. I know it's a different team, but Maddie, is that a motivating factor for you when you know that you're playing teams that you lost to in the past? Do you want to win that much more, or
Yeah.
is it just a new season and you don't even focus on that?
I mean, I know that the teams are different, but our team's different too, so I don't know, it's going to be a new game, and like, we're going to see how everything goes when the game happens.
And for both of you, you both play a lot of AAU ball. You play outside of high school. Adrienne, in this day and age, especially with these teams that are all kind of local, do you feel like you know these teams pretty well already, or do you need to scout when you get ready for a team like this?
I mean, we still scout because there still are a lot of people on the teams that we don't know, we don't play with, but I think for the most part, we've played against most of these people in AAU season, and so, I mean, I think we know what we're doing.
No nerves, and you just go out there and play.
Yeah.
Hey, talk a little bit about the success of this team, because you don't have a single senior on the entire team, which is unusual, and yet you're 9-1. Maddie, obviously I think we all knew over the last couple of years that this team was up and coming, and I think we were expecting a lot of success from all of you next year, but maybe it's come a year earlier than what some of us thought. Are you surprised at all as to how this team has performed already this year? Or?
I mean, I wouldn't say surprised because, like, as I was saying, the first practice of the season, it was much more intense and fast-paced than, like, what I can remember from last year. So I think the way that we practice is definitely the way we play because of our lack of height. We're definitely a run-and-gun team, and I think it's working out for us so far.
It's working out very well.
Yeah.
You're probably the deepest team in the league as well, in terms of, I think there's 8, 9, 10 players at times that you can kind of rotate in there, and it doesn't really feel like you lose anything when another player comes in off the bench. Talk a little bit about that, Adrienne, in terms of, does that help you play a little more intense, knowing that if you need a breather or you need to take a few minutes off, there's somebody that's ready to go and hop in there? Does it enable you to maybe kind of play a little more up-tempo?
Yeah, absolutely. Our coach always talks about, like, when you're in there, whether it's 5 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever it may be, like, you just need to go out there and play your heart out because there are other people on the bench. There are people coming in after you that have the same intensity, and, you know, we all can shoot, and so we can all play this game very well.
And talk about that a little bit, Maddie. This is a 3-point shooting team, and really it's not just 2 or 3 people. It's pretty much the entire team that can shoot out behind the arc. What's that like for other teams? Do you kind of sense that everybody's always going to have an opening because they can't really focus on 1 or 2 players like maybe they have in the past?
I mean, I think it's funny because someone will be guarding me and be like, shooter, shooter, or like someone who usually doesn't shoot, and it's because all of us have the green light to shoot, like our coach says, and I don't know, we definitely use that to our advantage.
Talk a little bit about each other for a moment. What kind of a teammate the other one is and what they mean to this team. Adrienne, I'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about Maddie's game and what she means.
Maddie, she's just one of those players that's, like, so versatile that you can just always count on her to be there, whether it's rebounding, shooting, getting in the post, like, whatever it may be. She's just able to do it all.
And Maddie, what about Adrienne?
Oh, thank you.
Nice compliment, right?
And then Adrienne, I know I can depend on her for anything as well, rebounding, shooting, taking it to the hoop, definitely taking it to the hoop, and making her free throws. I think you've only missed 2 this whole season.
Wow, okay, nice.
So, yeah, definitely one of the players that our whole team can depend on.
Is this a fun team? Does it? I mean, I know you told me earlier one of the things that Coach Rasmussen writes on the board before each game is have fun equals win. Is this a team that obviously you're winning? So are you having fun in the process?
Oh yeah,
For sure.
definitely.
And any kind of team bonding experiences or anything like that, or what does this team do? Does the team hang out together a lot away from the court, or is it?
I mean, we've gone to a couple games together, like the boys' games for Edmonds-Woodway. We also do like Secret Santa, and so this year, like that was fun to just get to know people in a different way, I guess.
So what was the best Secret Santa gift, Maddie?
I don't know what everyone got. But,
We'll come back to that. We'll let you think about that. And as far as before the game, you mentioned that when we were talking before we started rolling the camera, you like to blast music. Is there any kind of conversation as to who gets to choose the music on any given game? Is it a
me.
rotation or?
I create the playlist and stuff, but
Oh, it's Maddie's playlist. Okay.
yeah.
So do you get other teammates complaining about wanting certain music, or is it?
We all like put songs in that we wanted on the playlist.
It's a little rotation thing going on. Does Coach Rasmussen and the other coaches, do they get a say, or are they?
Oh, they get to listen. They get to listen.
that's their treat, they're right. As far as the Tacoma Dome's concerned, obviously that's always the big goal. We're about halfway through the season. Is it too early to start thinking about it? Do you let your mind go there? Adrienne, you've been there. Your freshman year, the team took 6th in state. How much of a motivator is that for you?
You know, after my freshman year, I kind of didn't know anything different. And so last year, I'm going to say the West Seattle game was definitely like the hardest game that I played in because we lost like the game before. But that's definitely a motivator. Like the beginning of the year, we always write down our goals, and that's always on the paper that I always write down that I want to go back there.
And Maddie, I'm guessing you've probably been to the Tacoma Dome to watch the state tournament. So in terms of wanting to play there and getting that experience, how much would that mean to you to get there?
I mean, since I've never had that experience, I want it so bad, and I know everyone that has been there and hasn't been there, like, they want to go as much as I do as well.
I didn't write this on my sheet, but I'm going to ask him now anyway because I'm curious for both of you. First of all, for you, Adrienne, number 44 this year. You putting a little pressure on yourself there. Missy Peterson wore that number in the past. I was surprised when I saw you out there wearing a different jersey number this year. Does it have symbolic meaning, or did you just decide to go with a different number this year?
To be honest, it's one of my coach. It's actually the Shorecrest coach, the new this year. He's been my AAU coach for a really long time, and that's the number he wore. So
you decided
I
to
took it,
you're
yeah.
Honoring Carlos Humphrey is the coach there, right? Okay, I did not know that. And Maddie, for you, it's got to be. It's always funny for me because every time I feel like I'm covering Edmonds-Woodway over the last few years, there's a Maddie. We've had Maddie Ortega,
yeah.
Maddie Tudor, Maddie Burdette. What is it about Maddies? Is it a requirement on this team to have a Maddie, or
I don't know.
are you just keeping the tradition alive there?
The spot is always filled each year.
Just call out Maddie, and you've always got somebody on the team
Yeah.
to have that. And then we should also point out, too, you mentioned your AAU coach. The two of you, not teammates during the offseason, is it? Do you enjoy playing against? I know, Maddie, you're shaking your head because I know Adrienne's gotten you a couple times in the last 2 years, but is it fun to play against each other when you're not playing with one another, or is it?
It's always good competition. Like,
yeah,
I look
think-
forward to it every single time. But
Do you feel it helps your game in terms of getting to know each other better, just in terms of playing with each other, knowing what each other's game is because you have to go against each other
definitely.
during the
Yeah.
offseason?
I think that playing against her, like I know her strengths and I know her weaknesses, and so I can kind of just play off of that.
and vice versa.
And it's worked so far. They're 9-1 to start their season, and hopefully a lot more wins coming up, especially in the next couple weeks. That would really boost your opportunities to increase the RPI and to get to the Tacoma Dome. That would be a nice thing. So, Adrienne, Maddie, thank you very much for coming in. Best of luck with the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll be watching these ladies play in the Tacoma Dome come March.
It's always fun to see the Edmonds-Woodway girls doing well. They have really built quite a legacy in that program.
Yeah, they've been winning their share of ball games over the last few years, and it's only going to continue for a while. Obviously, this is a young group, and a lot of juniors and sophomores. And with John Rasmussen coaching, it's going to be a fun ride for the Warrior fans. And who knows, maybe it's one that culminates in a trip to Tacoma this year. We'll see.
That would be great. All right, and we've got wrestling to talk about.
We do. We have a little bit of wrestling. Again, it's the off season, but there was one tournament that took place recently, the Brian Hill tournament over at Eastside Catholic High School. Surprise, surprise, the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors wrestling team wins again. They tend to do that and have won their share of tournaments. This particular tournament, they won the team tournament, but also 4 of the wrestlers won their individual weight classes. Baylor Dinkinger won the 106-pound class. Grayson Lecomte, 132-pound. Salou Fateh, 145. And then Cole Hadler, 152. We seem to mention Salou's name on here a little bit, and from time to time. And because he keeps winning all these tournaments and is having a great year, we're finally going to give him this. So we have a feeling we might even be able to give him one during the state tournament later on down the road. But until then, Salou Fateh for winning yet another tournament. You are our Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week. So congratulations on that.
Yes, and thanks to Action Jackson for sponsoring that weekly award to our deserving players.
Absolutely.
All right, anything else to talk about?
We do. Football honors came out recently. I know it's football season ended a few weeks ago.
Boy,
but
yeah.
We're still going to talk about it one last time because the all-state teams were just released. I guess it was last week. The Associated Press writers get together and they vote on the best players in the state to form one giant all-state team. It's a huge honor. A few different players getting mentioned for this. We'll start with the 2A state players. Brandon Bach, who we've had in studio as a state champion in the javelin throw. He also plays football and plays it pretty well. He kicks also. He was the all-state punter for the 2A squad. And then at the 3A level, we had 3 different Edmonds-Woodway Warriors we want to mention, all of which were in studio this year. We'll start off with Dominic Lawrence, the linebacker, and Noah Becker, the defensive back. They received honorable mention categories for that. And then we saved the best for last in that category, the all-state defensive lineman, so one of the top defensive linemen in the state, Tyler McAtee from Edmonds-Woodway. Huge deal. So congratulations to Tyler, as well as Dominic, Noah, and Brandon. Very well done, guys, and very well deserved, I might add.
Very good. Well, we'll have a busy week ahead as everybody gets back into the swing with school back in session. So we'll join you again next Sunday and have more to report. Have a great week.